reasons for everything. That, for instance, all the noise you're hearing now about politics in Akwa Ibom, Edo State, Rivers State, and rest of it. It's funding. Elections are coming. Who will man the purse? I was speaking with Obasanjo one time, and he told me, he said, he listed some things. I said, those are the things that are necessary to find the chat. Should I find the chat?
Find the chat. That would be interesting.
I'm just going to read the chat. He said, so no, for him, it was like, he thought I was going to go into politics. So he was very happy when I was talking with him. He said, Ali, I'm happy that you are now.
I don't know what kind of witchcraft you practice, because I was going to ask you
about the relationship with him.
No, not just about him. You said he thought you were going to go into politics. I was going to ask you why.
Why I did not. Okay, so no, I'll get to it. So he says, he says, Ali, I'm going to read that. Ali, I'm happy you are catching on with politics, but you still have a lot to learn. And I said, like what, sir? He said, like how you get governors and presidents elected. So you need 7 governors to win an election. Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Kano, Kaduna, and the CBN governor.
To win at federal level, a presidential
election. You need 7 governors. 1, Lagos. 2, Bayelsa. 3, Delta. 4, Rivers. 5, Kano. 6, Kaduna. 7, the CBN governor.
So you just, without, even if you are a political novice,
you know what all this means.
Understand the permutation.
Exactly. And so when I said, but Kano and Kaduna don't have much. He said, that's for numbers.
For numbers. True. For numbers.
He said, and what is money? That's numbers too. All right. He goes to say, you need 44 of the most popular senatorial districts. He said, you need to have awarded 10 contracts, and 15% of that contract can give you marginal impact at the polls. And you must award these contracts in your first year of assumption of office.
Whoa.
Because if you don't do that, then you can't ask the people for anything. Because when you give them at the first year of your getting into office, when it's time for elections, you just tell them, do you want to continue this contract, or they know what to do. He said, you must name your CGN, you must name your IGP, you must name your Controller General Customs, you must name the head of the NNPC, you must name your CBN governor. And if you want to get into the judiciary, you must suspend pending cases of corrupt past governors who are loaded. Don't forget that those guys have chests.
War
chests that's just sitting down waiting for who they want to align with. No matter how much EFCC milks from them, they still have plenty. These are people who were sitting on a monthly federal allocation. Don't forget that sometimes when your federal allocation, like some states we mentioned, when they get their federal allocation, they don't touch it. They actually add to it because their state internally generated revenue is higher than what the federal gives to them. So if federal government gives them 3 naira, they can add 4 naira to it and spend 7. So when they leave office, EFCC can't come look for them because they added money to what federal government gave them. But you see that internally generated revenue, that is their sweat, as it's called. It's their money. They generated it themselves. They can determine anything they want to do with it. Lagos State internally generated revenue is higher than what federal government gives them.
Obasanjo seized it for like forever.
They called this bluff.
Nobody cared.
They called this bluff. That's what we used to pay salaries. Just, And then it says, Yes, this is the meaty part of it. Say get US or China support. Because of their businesses in your country, they would support whoever. You heard the fallout from the Senate in this thing that said how they helped Buhari to get into office and remove Jonathan. National Association of Nigerian Students. NANS. Market Women.
NURTW.
Unsettle the organized labor.
Settle or unsettle?
Unsettle. Now, organized labor is where you then have people who protest. We are not this, we are this, and we are supporting that. We don't like this. All of that. There's one other. Get 10 of the richest Nigerians on your side. And we know the usual suspects. Infiltrate opposition parties and let them decamp before election. So, you have your party. I want to infiltrate the party. I'll send my people to leave my own party and join your own party before the elections. So when the time of elections comes, they would then disrupt the whole thing. They probably will be the ones they put in charge of electioneering campaign. You won't know that the reason they decamp from that side was to make sure that your own campaign doesn't succeed. So when you are planning and saying, no, this is what we'll do this, they inform those people that this is what they plan to do. So by the time...
And later on, you will hear they are going back to their old party.
Exactly. Then you know, somebody did it when he said, oh, he was supposed to be, I think Ashiwaju's campaign guy. Then he left to go and support the guy from Kano. You know, sometimes when these people say some things, you know, you have to respect this. Infiltrate opposition parties and let them decamp before them. Buy delegates 1 year before your congresses. 1 year before the congresses, buy them. So I asked, how do you buy congresses? It's okay, so this is what you do. You know who and who will be selected as delegates. You can permutate and say, this man will be delegates in another 4 years. You give 2 of his daughters jobs in a bank. You give this other person's wife a shop in so and so place. This other person wants to go to Hajj, they go to Hajj. This one wants to do something. When the time for election comes and you say, this is the person I'm supporting, because of those people that you have given, they won't mess up. While some people are trying to raise money to give dollars to some people, you already have bought their loyalty since. Have a hand in appointing all party chairmen, all parties chairmen, all parties. So it's not, so when you hear that 2 people are gunning for an office and you are not in the party, you call the other parties running against him, say, you want to be chairman, we'll fund you. Right. Secure INEC and state rec, blogs and social media, religious leaders, royal fathers, appointment of board of chairmen and DGs. It says, refer to number 2. Get 4 constitutional lawyers on retainership.
That is our job. We don't run government, we don't run policies, but we have the intellectual capacity to frame a conversation. You understand? Let me now conclude by making you sad. The Nigerian Civil War was planned on the campus of the University of Ibadan. Somebody has to write a book on that, in which the Vice Chancellor, a prominent historian, you already know I'm talking about, was also using his house to frame the project of the Civil War. You understand? And I'm not criticizing him, because when you cut segments of a conversation, it becomes a problem to those who are interpreting it. I'm not criticizing him. The Nigerian Civil War was led by an educated person who trained in England, one of the very first to have a degree to join the Nigerian army. The debates about Ironsi was framed for him by those who went to school on a unitary government. You understand? It is not that these intellectuals have not been talking, but they are also embedded in this very project you want to solve. So in the final analysis, you see how interest governs politics. And as interest drives politics, the very fact that you have a PhD doesn't mean you will take.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the season of campaigning. As they say, history does rhyme. As the shadow of the past week, Obasanjo and Atiku kind of take a chunk percentage of the headline. History, they say, does not repeat itself literally, but it rhymes. And when I look at the coalition, the OK movement, the Kwankwaso and the obedience movement, I can't help but to see the articulated, now known as articulated, but Atiku then and Obasanjo coalition. And the fact that that coalition is still evoking headlines almost 25 years later, I think we should pay attention to it. We should pay attention to Obi and Kwankwaso. Because as far as I'm concerned, the fact that Obasanjo is in charge, the fact that Kwankwaso had to literally or kind of coerce, threaten to join that ticket. How do you explain whereby he was accused of being a terrorist sponsor, of helping to bring the Sharia law to bear? Then overnight, he joined the movement, and that was the end of that conversation or that chapter. So, when a former president like Olusegun Obasanjo dropped the bombshell that his estranged deputy, that is Atiku Abubakar, allegedly funneled millions to House Speaker Ghali Na'Abba, I should say the late Speaker Ghali Na'Abba, to orchestrate an impeachment. It wasn't just recounting history. It was laying out the blueprints of elite political survival in Nigeria. Today, as politicians flood Kano to pay homage to Rabiu Kwankwaso, while his co-anchor, that is Peter Obi, remain indisposed. Yeah, it's making news everywhere, but it's not disposed to the grassroots, to the people that actually matters in the scheme of things. The goals of 2023, which is Atiku and Obasanjo, are walking in the halls again. I'm seeing the traces. In Nigerian politics, a coalition is rarely a partnership of equals. No. It is a high-stake chess match where the man holding the physical gates and the foot soldier start writing the rules of success long before the ballot is cast. And if you ask me, that was exactly the position Atiku was put on when Obasanjo was gallivanting the whole world in the name of fixing Nigerians' inmates, uh, rally around the world to ask for debt forgiveness, while Atiku was locally in charge. He was physically at the gate pretty much. Once the president is indisposed, of course, you have to talk to the man at the gate, which is him, Atiku. And in this case, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everybody who is looking for power as an opposition are trooping towards Kano, trooping towards Kwankwaso, all the way from Benue, Edo, Enugu, to register their presence, their appreciation, and put their blueprints to bear to him, not to the number one guy. So that if anybody is not paying attention or is not concerned, I am. Because in a high stake uh, political match like this, where the man holding the gates, the physical gates, which it appears just as Atiku played the local gates man into Obasanjo Galabati around the world, it appears Kwankwaso is doing the same thing while we'll be busy flying around the world looking for money. Both are important, but I don't know. Depends on who you put in charge. So when you allowed a man holding the physical gates and the footprint soldier, because everybody is tripping to Kano to Kwankwaso's house to register their presence. To allow that kind of a things go unchecked, you are directly giving them go ahead to start writing the rules of a succession long before the ballot is cast. The greatest threat to a movement is not the opposition across the aisle. It's not APC. It's not ADC. The greatest opposition to NDC, to the OK movement, it is the civil war brewing right in their own living room. Because it might not appear as if it's as a civil war. It might not appear that there's a fracas. Ah, because politics at that level, don't leave everything unturned. One should not be comfortable where everybody is trooping to Kwankwaso to register their president. Why he is not leading the tickets, and people could not see anything wrong with that. That's why I use Obasanjo and Atiku as an example. Obasanjo almost lost his second term because of the physical gatesman metaphor that I used. Atiku was pretty much the local man. He was in charge of pretty much all the 36 state governor. He built a very solid relationship with all the governors that all he needs is to strap a finger and they will go to action. While Obasanjo was busy flying from Paris to Washington to London, trying to repair the image of Nigeria, get it dirty, and all those globalist shenanigans. Um, Atiku was on ground coordinating the local food soldiers. That's exactly what Kwankwaso is doing at the moment. Everybody is tripping to go and see Kwankwaso, while Obi is going from Germany to London to America. As I said, raising money. uh, so history doesn't just repeat itself. In Nigerian politics, it operates on a recurring loop, played on a loudspeaker every single cycle. That's why when Professor in the Kano, if I mispronounce his name, when he was saying that the time the state police bill, the timing is wrong. And the politician will use it, take advantage of it, and use it to election time. That it should not, the bill should not come to bear during the election period. I ask myself, does this man understand what he's talking about? Nigeria operates a 4 years electoral cycle. To every serious politician, every day, every week, every month, every year is an election year. The day Bola Tinubu was sworn in, the next day started campaigning for his second term. Same goes to Obama, same goes to Trump, same goes to every fucking politician. Forget this waiting to be the talk. I will only do first time. It's not up to him. It's not up to him. So if Professor in the Kano they talk say, oh, the timing is wrong. I ask, when is the right time? The very minute, not the next, the very minute Bola Tinubu was sworn in, he declared subsidy is gone. And today the repo defense is still being failed. So it doesn't matter when a policy was brought to light at any point of that 4 years of electoral cycle, no matter. That's why people like them should stick to their technical expertise. Make them did not go into politics. Politics is a 24-hour job. It's a profession. So if you look at the headlines, it says Atiku gave Na'Abba 5 million to impeach me, Obasanjo. But of course, Atiku responded. We'll get to that part. So when you strip away to the specific names, and you are looking at the foundational anatomy of executive power, struggling in our republic, it is the classic playbook of institutional warfare. You have a principal who view power as an absolute monarchy, a deputy or partner who realize their political self-life expires the moment they don't pave out an independent base. That's why if you are a sitting vice president, it is very difficult to make moves, succeed your boss, unless you actually you get something on him, because you are expected to be building a coalition that to raise money for you to do whatever, build your own foundation for your own ambition. But how do you do that without your boss seeing you as a traitor, or you are trying to work against him? But that's exactly again what happened between Obasanjo and Atiku. So that's why a sitting vice president is always very, very just like Shetima. What is Shetima want to do now that it will not look as if he's working against his principle? But in the recess, for him to stand a chance in 2031, he has to start building a coalition now, because every other person is doing it, and that is what Kwankwaso is doing. I mean, of course, we want to believe that Obi give this kind of latitude, this free will, this distance, because of the agreements. But that's a very dangerous one. So you are expected to be building your own independent base. And the legislature or inner cycle caught in the ceasefire, weaponized as a blueprint instrument to settle scores. So you have a coalition that is supposed to present a united front against the establishment. Because I'm saying the Kwankwaso movement, they are doing everything to stand out. why obedience are doing the same thing. Now, I don't understand their inner working stuff. One could argue that there's a silent uh, united front brewing. But if I'm correct, there's an headline this morning that says that it is becoming difficult for the opposition party to present a united front. I will go that headline, make a read down, make I actually see what they meant. So, but what are we seeing? What are we seeing on ground between this movement? We see a massive, desperate migration of politicians, political actors, streaming to one specific doorstep to bend their nails and pay homage. That is to Kwankwaso. Why the other pillar of the alliance is sidelined and indisposed, and that's Obi. Obi the every news. That's not how. That is not enough, or that will not get the job done. Why the Konkosia movement are building the code, the what's in the big call at that time structures. We couldn't. The Konkoso is busy building the structure for himself. But as I say, one could argue that maybe I don't know their inner working strategy, and I could be right. But the optics, what we are seeing, is exactly what I'm pointing out. Because you could see massive, desperate migration from every other party coming to NDC, but they are not going to the head of the tickets. They are tripping straight to Kano to pay homage, to bend their nails, to present the agenda to the Konkoso rather than to Obi. And that was my argument a couple of days ago. There is a huge distance between Obi as a candidate and the movement. There's a leadership that is missing, that you're supposed to fill that vacuum. It's missing. And that is why this homage pain is going to Konkoso rather than towards Obi. Because if Obi have that middle structure and then supposed to direct the traffic go. Just like 2023, we have the likes of Part 2 media, kind of strong middlemen, other than the Obi himself. There are other men you can count on. And the traffic, even when the Labour Party become their home, you could see how this camp migration was directed towards that middle management. But in this case, everything is going towards Kwankwaso. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. It echoes the past being Obasanjo and Atiku. So, in Nigerian politics, physical presence is currency. And that is my arguments to the educated class in those states who have been running the state for the past 25 years. And all of a sudden, saw a man who, according to them, his education is not up to par. And instead of them to sit down and say, come, how did we screw up? No, they are turnarounds to the ordinary people who don't even have a clue of how the government is being run and accuse them that they are they are the force for having Upper Wolo as their governor. So that's what education does. A lot of them trade their common sense to education. Instead of them to sit down and say, come, we've been running this state for the past 25 years. Obviously, we have not done well and the people are not happy. What do we do? Go back to the people, sit with them. Because physical presence is a currency. No, instead, even when Obaseki finished, he ran away, ran away from the people. Then people will come, they insult me. Why am I so this? I must be an illiterate to be celebrated, to be supporting an illiterate man. Yes, physical presence matters a lot, and that's where Kwankwaso stand out. Obi is everywhere. I know he's looking for money, but it's dangerous. It is dangerous. As I said, in Nigerian politics, physical presence, you've been around, is the currency. And proximity to the gatekeeper is power. So what you are seeing is that these people who are migrating to NDC, they feel more belong, they feel more empowered, they see their prospects, coming to life by going closer to Kwankwaso, which is not supposed to be so. They see Kwankwaso as the central power, the central figure of NDC, which is not supposed to be so. That's why you see everybody they migrate to that they go pay homage to them. Because there's power in proximity to power. The closer you are to the to power, the more influential you are. So as far as NDC is concerned, the people are seeing Kwankwaso as the central figure, the central power. As I said, it's not supposed to be like that. It is dangerous. What's going on? So when even before the government is formed, and the member of the political party begins to see the vice president as the the central power, the figures to be associated with, that is dangerous. Again, to understand how dangerous it could get, and to understand the relationship between Obasanjo and Atiku. Obasanjo left Atiku in charge. So people felt that going closer to Atiku empower them more than seeing Obasanjo. In fact, Obasanjo is not even where to be found. He was going around the world trying to fix the image of Nigeria. That was the story they are telling us. So Atiku become the central authority, central power economically, and I mean, before you know, all the 36 state governor is under his control. So when politicians from every nook and cranny begin treating one partner house as the sole mecca of the movement, the illusion of an equal partnership shatters. That's what is happening. Very dangerous. It echoes the past, as I said, between Obasanjo and Atiku. Because in Nigerian politics, physical presence is the currency in a bar. And proximity to power, again, it's also power. So when politicians from every nook and cranny of Nigeria, north and south, east and west, begin to treat Kwankwaso house as the Mecca of NDC. I don't know if you can still call that movement as equals. As equal partners will be trying to claim as an illusion. Obasanjo understood that what Atiku was doing with the legislature back then, he knew that long before an election is lost at the polls, it is lost in the corridors of internal positioning. When you have all the legislature under your beck and call, the governors, the answer to you, the economic players, all loyal to you. I don't know how you go feel govern with a clear mind. And that's why Obasanjo is finding it difficult to forgive Atiku more than what? Almost 20 years on. It's the same thing I see happening between Kwankwaso and Obi. So the actors today, the Kwankwasos and the Obis of today are reading from the exact same script. He wants to unseat the giants, but the two men holding the slings are already measuring each other scores to see who takes the crown if the giant falls. It is a movement. If a movement cannot survive the friction of its own ambition before the battle even begins, it isn't an alternative government. It is just a countdown to a spectacular collapse. There one headline I saw regarding how the opposition are finding it difficult to form a united front. Let me see. Yes, it says 2027 opposition single candidate push suffers setback. So let's see who is pushing what's the mean by that. The plans by opposition parties to present a single presidential candidate against President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 elections appears to be losing momentum as major parties and political bloc adopt conflicting positions on the proposed alliance. I wonder how could that be? Why the Tamil Turaki-led faction of the People Democratic Party sets the options remain open. The PDP faction, backed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, some weekly ruled out any alliance with other parties. The camp of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also acknowledged that opposition parties have already produced their respective presidential candidates, but maintained that discussion on cooperation ahead of the polls would continue. I wonder how they want to. If they've gone their separate ways, they have their separate candidates. So, what kind of cooperation are they talking about? Somebody should help me out. I'm confused. Other political parties, including the Nigerian Democratic Party, the Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, People Redemption Party, PRP, Labour Party, LP, Accord Party, and faction of the African Democratic Congress have equally expressed varying level of oppositions or conscience over the proposed single candidate arrangements. The ruling of Progressive Congress APC, however, dismissed the opposition move, insisting that neither a coalition nor a single opposition candidate will stop Tinubu from securing re-election as expected. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But, and this is the problem, they are confusing the the electorate. The electorate will grow tired of their shenanigans. Like, I know what, for it, we survive 4 years, we can still survive another 4 years. It's that simple. The OB media organization uh, are doing everything to make sure OB interview dominates the conversation. But I questioned their timing. Like, this is Monday. why you go why you go put out a major interview on Monday and you expect it to stand the test of time, especially when they are not new or fresh idea that the man is pushing out. This kind of thing are like middle of the week, Wednesday or Thursday, so that you go push enter weekend and automatically that will be a conversation at the dinner table going home. But they are doing everything they can to make sure everybody's talking about it. But there's nothing worth talking about in the interview. I don't know if anybody watch out. The interview here for like 2 hours. Nobody. And nothing new. So the OK movement, the coalition framework built around proposed political partnership between Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso is co-opted by its two primary namesake. But structure control and physical momentum on the ground tells a distinct story. And again, even the idea of coming out, well, it's on Saturday, and former campaign director of the of Obi presidential campaign came out and said what we already know, that Obasanjo is prime sponsor of the Obi Kwankwaso tickets. Everybody know that. I don't know. I don't even know what is new. We all know all of them belongs to the Obasanjo political family, other than Kwankwaso, who is kind of want to is senior among the political house and is trying to carve his way out. He's been around for a long time. But everybody knows and to understand that ticket, see the globalist ticket is Obasanjo himself. Obasanjo is their number one anchor in Nigeria. And he's grooming successors before you go. So Obi is the preferred political child right now of Obasanjo. Not that he's the senior, he's the preferred. Um, well, until let's see what Soludo finishes ten now. Soludo belongs to that family too. Obi Ezekwesili belongs to that family. Okonjo belongs to that family. Chidoka belongs to that family. Uh, the former presidential candidate, uh, this former deputy's CBN governor, Leonkwe, also belongs to that family. Who also belongs to Jonah Duke is belongs to passenger political family. Who that? There are many. So B just happened to be the preferred, not necessarily the senior. I don't know why. So who controls the movements? At this point, who control the OK movements? This is a question to be answered. Because at this point, we have two figureheads. Formally, the movement derives its identity and backing from Rabiu Kwankwaso, that is the Kwankwaso movement. And Peter Obi is designed as a bridge alliance meant to merge North and South to bridge the massive populist red cap grassroots Kwankwaso infrastructures of the North with a widespread urban youth driven reform network of the South. See, when I talk say proximity, presence is what matters, people don't understand. And if they are still using the phrase that to capture the obedient movements as urban centric, then it says everything. So urban centric and internet based. And if you ask me, that's just 20 to 25% of the population of the South. They need to go beyond the big cities. The educated folks or the intellectuals, they are very few and they don't vote. Now, what is responsible behind immigration to Kwankwaso? Why everybody they go pay Kwankwaso homage rather than Obi? If Obi even has a where his own campaign seed from, where his own base, where his campaign headquarters, the obedience headquarters. Because right now his physical presence is missing. There's a vacuum of physical presence. Because why Peter Obi remains a towering figure in the coalition, no doubt about that. His movements and political availability have faced constraint, leaving a vile, visible vacuum. And that is the gap I said between him and his movement. There's a layer that is missing between the Oga and his followers. And that is the most important class if their presidential ambition are to be successful. Because they ought to be responsible for what? Planning, financing, and then supposed to be responsible for everything, communication, movement, mobilization, all the volunteers, everything, even the intellectual base, their think tank and everything should be fall into that group. But it's missing. There's no leadership at that point, at that level. And the vacuum, the physical presence vacuum. So why Peter Obi remain, yes, still the biggest of the coalitions. The movement and the public availability are faced with constraint, leaving a vacuum in physical, high-level stakeholder engagement. They unlike 2023, you see different people who I never know before self who are responsible in playing that role. But today they are all gone. Because when a principal political figure like Obi is indisposed or less accessible, only TV that is here, the focal points of daily negotiation naturally shift towards available anchor, which is Kwankwaso. That's why everybody they go meet Kwankwaso. because Obi is not accessible, it's indisposed. Yes, it's on TVs everywhere, but the physical negotiation, because that's where the power take place. It's not disposed, and anybody can prove me wrong. And I'm not blaming him per se, but again, I'll blame him because he's the head. There is a layer that is missing. There's a middle. So those people who are the most important one. If you want to look at it from the societal perspective, you have the leaders, the governing elite. Then we have the words, the educated class. Then before the every other average citizen. The educated class are important because they are responsible in organizing the lower uh, information consumers. They are responsible for their financing too. So that's why every society they encourage that middle class, the educated class should be bigger. The bigger the educated class, the more the governing class will be responsible because they are one in position to check. So being missing in action is dangerous. And the whole goal of forming alliance with Konkoso is to leverage the northern structure. Now, Konkoso command one of the most disciplined, organized political machine. That one is not debatable. The Konkoso movement. The network is strong. They are growing. They are intellectual. That's middle class section of the movement is growing wide by the day. But they are in control of it. Especially in the area of navigating the realignment within parties like the NDC or broader coalition talk, securing the northern numeric and territorial by requiring direct alignment with Konkoso base. So it's also showed that the migrants, the people who are moving to that party, yes, even though a lot of them are moving because of Obi as a figure, but they recognize the sophisticatedness of the Confucian movement. So they prefer to realign with them because they are more grassroots oriented. Again, as I earlier said, obedience is centered around the urban centers. And most of the political machinery are spread across the rural areas of Nigeria. So you can see why, as they migrate to NDC, even though yes, they are coming, you know, under the name of Obi, but they understand the influence of the Konkoso and the Konkoso in the party as regards to being present to speak to the grassroots more. So they migrated to him instead of. So I would not be surprised if there is going to be another explosion as we saw 2023, whereby a lot of people got elected because of Obi. If we are going to see anything like that in 2027, the northern part will gain more in terms of the numbers of people that will get elected because of the OK movement. Why? Because the Concordia movement, they are working towards that. Again, why the obedient movement is urban-centric. So only those one where they cities, maybe it's not place like Lagos, but in the southeast predominantly, those candidates that are urban based might record success. But I think the large number, the people that will benefit more from the OK movement will largely come from the north. Not because the numbers are there, but because of the organizing structure of the concoursiers and the fact that everybody that is migrating to that party are realigning with the composer faction of the movement, other than you be in the end. So when a coalition is perceived as the primary vehicle to challenge an incumbent establishment, political actors rush to opposition themselves early to secure relevance, ticket guarantee, or structural leverage for 2024. That's exactly why they are gravitating towards Kwankwaso. Because to actually stay relevant, the guy the gas recovered. The ticket is guaranteed. That's why people like Aisha, they lost out. They literally lost out to those that realized gravitated towards was the Kwankwaso angles of the movement. Because they are more realistic. So even before the alliance, the OK movement could even have a visible united front. The dynamics don't they change. The power dynamics is changing before they even finalize the structure. So if you look at this and you look at the it would be Atiku and Obasanjo relationship, it's pretty much the same. It's historical parallel. It hit the same thing. I got different name and different region, but it's the same thing that may likely happen that is playing out the Obasanjo Atiku playbook, where high stake partnership fracture into deep mutual suspicion, proxy legislative moves, and a scramble to lock down institutional structure before a major cycle is the expected script underlying modern coalition. So again, while Obasanjo was traveling everywhere between 1999, 2000, 2001, Atiku was also forming a strong coalition, not just among the legislation, among the governors, and among the economy players. Ahead of what? 2031, no, 2027, no, ahead of 2023. So he used 2019, 2000, 2001, 2002 to do all those things. Before Obasanjo could finish his tour and realize, yeah, let me come and settle down the campaign, he almost lost out. He could not get the ears of the legislature, the governors, and everybody. They always had to Atiku because Atiku was present. They have their ears. So it's more guaranteed that if their re-election is more guaranteed via Atiku than Obasanjo, who was really exposed. Obasanjo had to beg. That's why it is the pain up to today. He went through hell to get that structure back from Atiku, and eventually, because and the same thing they happen now with Ubi and Kwankwaso. Ubi is everywhere looking for money. It's not indisposed. It's not present. Guess what? Kwankwaso just decided to say, "Well, I have the capacity. I have a formidable machinery called Kwankwaso and the whole nation in the hand. Everybody believe that it will be more profitable to me to align with the man who is present and I'm seeing than the man who, yes, nobody can underestimate his presence, but he's nowhere to be found." So just as the executive legislative battle of the early 2000s were defined by who would pull the levers of the legislature, like the intense pressure dynamic involved Ghali Na'Abba, modern coalition gets tested by where political capital and physical allegiance concentrates. You no get money and you are not present, I don't know how he wants to win election. Unless you have the bar to spend, and there's no amount of the way you feel raise money where you go outrage the sitting president. And you are not now, you are not, are you in the same vein, you are nowhere to be found. History shows that when an alliance is not tightly synchronized, the partner who control the physical machinery, in this case, which is Kwankwaso, the foot soldier, and the open door inevitably begins to dictate the terms. If one principle is visible and holding the court, while the other is sidelined or indisposed, like will be the power balance tilts irreversibly long before the ballot box ever open. As simple as that. If Organo Day, the next person in line becomes the go-to. Obasanjo was not visible as much, was not present, was going from Paris to London, traveling everywhere the world, asking for debt forgiveness. Atiku become the point guard. During before good luck, during Musa Yar'Adua, when he was sick, his wife literally become the point guard. He sideline good luck because it's present. So Obi no dey everywhere. Obi is raising money from Germany to America. It's the only media that they see, and his voice is there. It's visible, but it's not accessible. Not because it's proving difficult or no, because he's looking for money, and that is the number one sign. They are not ready to. They are not planning to win. Obi, as far as I'm concerned, going by the interview, he just excited that he's going to be among the finalists. That's why if you pay attention to the follower, they talk and say, we Obi will be on the ballot 2027. We do everything to make sure Obi is on the ballot 2027. So when you go get when are you going to get on the ballot? Then when are you going to be aiming to win? At this point is to be saying that we are going to make sure we by the way we are moving, putting the numbers together, we are going to make sure Obi win 2027. But they are changing their language never said. Hence is everywhere trying to gather money. So the man, the principal, the one who is visible, become the go-to guy. So in the Nigerian paradox, the coalition is built to defeat the establishment, but the partners spend half their energy trying to outmaneuver each other within the trust themselves. So I fear that's what is happening. Because I don't know. Somebody should explain to me why the obedient no get national headquarter. Because if they do have it national headquarter, even though Obi is not always present, there will be serious mandate people that will command all this migration towards Kwankwaso to them. Because Obi is still the towering figure, still the number one guy, still the head of the tickets. But the fact that every delegation that is coming from Sokoto, coming from Anambra, coming from Enugu, coming from Ibadan, are headed towards Kwankwaso has to pay homage rather than Obi. I don't know, man. Something is not, it's not hard enough. So Obi losing Kwankwaso, losing Kenneth Okonkwo, Shina Darlington, the other guy, Valentine. Part to me not I don't know, but I still with it, with this. We still with to be movements physically, spiritually, mentally, and financially. I can say intellectually, yes. So they are core figure that play a very important role 2023 that are nowhere to be found. There's a whole layer of governance that is missing because it's as if the NDC headquarters is in Kano or wherever Kwankwaso lives. NDC quarter is as if Kwankwaso is the leader of NDC. As far as I'm concerned, there's Obi, there's Kwankwaso, and there is the Kwankwasoya structure, formidable structure that is absorbing every migrant to that party, to the Kwankwasoya angles of the party. So there is Obi, there is Kwankwaso, there is Kwankwasoya structure before the obedience. Now the obedience, the only constituency they control overwhelmingly is the internet, social media, and the urban cities, Lagos, Benin, Port Harcourt, Enugu, all those things. Whereas the Kwankwasoya literally overwhelm the grassroots structure, both of the obedient to and what's their own territory and the new territory that is migrating. So the Kwankwasoya movement now serve as that middle class structure that I talked about. They now serve as the organizing structure of the whole movement. In other words, if let's say they win election today and they assume power, the whole executive of the government will be Kwankwasoya. The whole legislation will be singing Kwankwasoya. Now only one pinch of the executive power will be without hold. I'm not making it up. That's exactly what is playing out. Because if you look at it like we say, oh, delegates from Akwa Ibom, they are visiting Kwankwaso. Delegate from Akwanga, they are visiting Kwankwaso. Delegate from Ondo, they are visiting Kwankwaso. Delegate from Enugu, they are visiting Kwankwaso. Not the obedient headquarters now will be. Again, I am just looking back to explain what I'm saying. All you need to do is go look back to 1999, 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. The relationship between Obi and Atiku. Obasanjo no get leadway. Atiku was literally present while Obasanjo was in prison. They bring him from prison, push him up, use the structure of Atiku on ground. I will say him because Naim be the local file of the PDP was elected a governor as at that time. So you know, be saying that somebody way they just go pick from nowhere that is unknown, like Oshibanjo, to just be vice president. No, the man was elected governor. You know his onions. He was pretty much on ground. So even when they take office, Obasanjo focused on what, according to him, repairing the image of Nigeria and getting debt forgiveness. So it was all over the world. So Atiku again capitalized on the fact that he is present. So that him being present alone and being accessible was enough to coerce all the legislature around him, to walk around or to have all the governors here, and again to also form a strong relationship with the economic players, the private sectors of the country. So by the time the next election will come in 2023, Obasanjo was pretty much outnumbered, even within his own party, as a sitting president. He was outnumbered. He begin beg, because nobody was loyal anymore to him, because he was not present, not because he was a bad leader, not because he was a bad leader, but because he was not present, he was not accessible. And up to today, that vacuum, that drift between them is still playing out. Yes, we all know Obasanjo is full of himself. He wants the whole world to rally around him. So every now and then, he find a way to get into the headlines. But of course, this time around, he's not leaving anything unturned. So have a ticket at stake. He's on, I literally say he's on ballots. Why Atiku responded to him by saying, if you want to support your tribesman, come out openly. No, they use that person to score you points. And I think that was really, really spot on. It exposed a lot of it exposed the underground workings of Obasanjo. But most importantly, he tried to use the opportunity to rekindle what he believed would get him elected, which is what? Political war between the North and South. Tribal game, identical qualities. That's the only thing Atiku will have working for him. It doesn't instigate, but he engineers it. So in going for that angle directly to respond to Obasanjo, as I said, it was clever, it was spot on, but I don't know if it's going to work for him, because that's the same thing Tinubu wants. Tinubu wants a divide across the North and South, across Muslim and Christian, because now there be North and South. Once you have that divide, automatically he don't take first half of the divide, and the rest will rally around him. So Atiku responded to Obasanjo by calling him out directly that, come, if you want to support your tribesman, go ahead, come out, don't play and do it. Now they use that man to make excuse. And that is why I don't forget the man name, the former campaign director of the OB, Osheku, whatever that man is. That's why a guy came out immediately and responded and tried to dress the whole thing by saying that Obasanjo is the primary sponsor of Obi and Kwankwaso ticket. He said that to dilute what Atiku pointed out, that, hey, if you want to support your tribe, man, come out openly. The other man had to come out and respond, because also in a way, now Obasanjo's spokesperson, even though it's not official, but he worked with him for the longest. He had to come out and say, nah. No, because Obasanjo is being a tribalist or is supporting Tinubu because you remember. No, that's the angle you want to pull up so that your people will rally around you. That's not the game. No. Obasanjo is responsible for OB tickets. So when I see the games, when I see how they play that game there, see how he plays the game. Atiku primary weapon Now, identity politics, North and South, Christian and Muslim. That is the political currency, and he's good at it. And coincidentally, it's also the only currency Tinubu have at this moment. The more there is rap between the Hausa, the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Christian, the better for him. I will not say Obasanjo did not expect the Atiku response to go that way because he's known for a nine boy, right? But I don't think he expected him to come this soon. When Atiku responded immediately, come. Nya, 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 nya. All this one way they talk so now because your tribesman is in power and you want to make sure he comes back. Leave the dead man out of this. Obasanjo know that, say, man, that's a very solid response. And people will start reading meaning to that. He sent his boy to come out and do what? Control damage. And what did that one say? He said, no, Obasanjo, no matter how they want to put him as a tribalist or he's working for Tinubu, he is responsible for big tickets. Case closed. Case closed. Timing is everything. I don't believe in coincidence. In politics, there are no coincidences, there are no conspiracy theories. Just because you don't know that is happening doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because you are not responsible for it doesn't mean somebody somewhere is not responsible for what is happening. So Obasanjo's job is to make sure Atiku don't have visibility. Atiku no get number. And my main focus in this election, what I'm more excited about is the results that is going to come. Not the winner. As far as I'm concerned, Bola Tinubu is gone. Is already the winner. But what is going to be the position of Atiku on this? Is this going to be the way he played that in 2023, where Atiku finished second and Obi finished third? Because it matters, the position and the numbers these two people finish with. Because as far as I'm concerned, they are working for 2027, 2021, that's 2031. Now, if Obi finish second, it will be an interesting 2031. That means it will be the most populous politician outside the sitting president Tinubu. Now the president Tinubu is not coming back. So it will be the most popular candidate, presidential candidate alive going to 2031. And how do you tell a man that he has a constitutional right to run as long as he can, to sit aside all those numbers and followership because of turn by turn? I will watch those who will play that role and I wish them good luck. Now, even if he finish third, but he come out with 6 million or above, it still places him in the same position. I don't see how. I don't see how he's going to see 6 million votes aside from 2031, knowing the fact that he will be the most populous politician from the South should Atiku finish second. So either way, that's why if Obi no make the ballots, they go prefer him. But how do we stop Obi presidential ambition? This is the number one question in the northern political power broker dilemma. Now, Atiku finishing second also is a problem for people like Kwankwaso, El Rufai, and every other politician that will be coming out from the north. Because how do you convince a man with the highest number of voters in the country outside the city president to sit aside because of his age? We will see. Two. So that is the biggest problem that Kwankwaso and the rest of them will get if Atiku finish second. And even if he finish third behind Obi, he will still have the bragging right going to 2031 to say among all the northern presidential candidates, I have the highest number. How do you beat that? I was watching Buhari. Why not go work for him? So we are going to see 2032 Obi going head to head with Atiku, because this Kwankwaso game where they play, I don't know how it will favor him. The only way it will take favor him, the only best argument they will get against Atiku is if Atiku finish third and Obi finish second. Kwankwaso will now lay claims to Obi's numbers if they can convince Obi out of recontesting 2032. Because it's not about him. It's not up to him to say, I'll go wrong, I'll no go wrong. Those days are gone. People don't spend money for him. Billions have been spent since 2022. They don't spend billions, they come. They can finally get to power. You can't tell say, I want to live for that, I'm not going to do it again. They go kill you. That the same people that they go take you out. Group of business people, somebody carry everywhere are spending, putting in their billions and efforts. They can't finally get the power. You can't tell them, I promise they didn't want time. Anyway, we shall get there.
That is our job. We don't run government, we don't run policies, but we have the intellectual capacity to frame a conversation. You understand? Let me now conclude by making you sad. The Nigerian Civil War was planned on the campus of the University of Ibadan. Somebody has to write a book on that, in which the Vice Chancellor, a prominent historian, you already know I'm talking about, was also using his house to frame the project of the Civil War. You understand? And I'm not criticizing him, because when you cut segments of a conversation, it becomes a problem to those who are interpreting it. I'm not criticizing him. The Nigerian Civil War was led by an educated person who trained in England, one of the very first to have a degree to join the Nigerian army. The debates about Ironsi was framed for him by those who went to school on a unitary government. You understand? It is not that these intellectuals have not been talking, but they are also embedded in this very project you want to solve. So in the final analysis, you see how interest governs politics. And as interest drives politics, the very fact that you have a PhD doesn't mean you.
And so
Listen to the commandment of God.
these are all the things that are happening. So there are reasons for everything.
Seven
For instance, all the noise you're hearing now about politics in Akwa Ibom, Edo State, Rivers State, and rest of it. It's funding. Elections are coming. Who will man the purse? I was speaking with Obasanjo one time, and he told me, he said, he listed some things. I said those are the things that are necessary to find the chat. Should I find the chat?
Find the chat. That would be interesting.
I'm just going to read the chat. So. Mm-hmm. He said, so no, for him, it was like he thought I was going to go into politics. So he was very happy when I was talking with him. He said, Ali, I'm happy that you are now.
I don't know what kind of witchcraft you practice, because I was going to ask you
about the relationship with him.
No, not just about him. You said he thought you were going to go into politics. I was going to ask you why.
Why I did not. Okay, so no, I'll get to it. So he says, hey, wait, okay, yeah. He says, Ali, yeah, I'm going to read that. Ali, I'm happy you are catching on with politics, but you still have a lot to learn. And I said, like what, sir? He said, like how you get governors and presidents elected. So you need 7 governors to win an election. Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Kano, Kaduna, and the CBN governor.
Numbers. Money.
To win a presidential election.
You need 7 governors. 1, Lagos. 2, Bayelsa. 3, Delta. 4, Rivers. 5, Kano. 6, Kaduna. 7, the CBN governor.
So you just, without, even if you are a political novice,
you know what all this means.
Understand the permutation.
Exactly. And so when I said, but Kano and Kaduna don't have much. He said, that's for numbers.
For numbers.
True.
Numbers. For numbers.
He said, and what is money? That's numbers too. All right.
Yeah.
He goes to say, you need 44 of the most popular senatorial districts.
Everything, including numbers.
He said, you need to have awarded 10 contracts, and 15% of that contract can give you marginal impact at the polls. And you must award these contracts in your first year of assumption of office.
Whoa.
Because if you don't do that, then you can't ask the people for anything. Because when you give them at the first year of your getting into office, when it's time for elections, you just tell them, do you want to continue this contract, or they know what to do. They said,
now, when they talk about incumbency power, that is at the top of it. Most time when we hear about incumbency power, we talk about how you would use police, use INEC, use all those government parastatals to no. At the top of that incumbency power, and Alibaba just talked so. You award contracts. Now, put yourself for opposition. Person like will be, for instance, why you go around promising people, because that's what you, and the only power you get is that. Say, oh, no worry, if you support me with your people, I'll make sure I give you commissioner, I'll make sure I give you ministerial position, I will make you director of so. Oh, that this is your construction company should be able to handle a contract of 1,000 road kilometer. If you are win, I'll make sure. So why you promise as a candidate, the sitting government gives? That is one big difference between incumbency, the power of incumbency that he has that the incoming guys don't have. Why you they go promise, the guy they give? So why you they go polling word by word? They promise they vote for me, that will make sure we take care of your welfare and all that. No, the man will just go, your welfare, take this 2K. I'll vote for you. That 2K will take care of that man's welfare immediately. That's what people don't understand. When you are going against an incumbent candidate, it's difficult. While you are promising people position and all that, then they offer that they even double themselves.
He said you must name your CGN, you must name your IGP, you must name your custom controller general customs, you must name the head of the NNPC, you must name your CBN governor. And if you want to get into the judiciary, you must suspend pending cases of corrupt past governors who are loaded. Don't forget that those guys have chests.
War chests
That's just sitting down waiting for who they want to align with.
Now, somebody will say, why El-Rufai is still locked up? Abi Kaduna Kaduna is among the 7 states that you must have to win. And El-Rufai, past governor of Kaduna State, that means he's loaded too, or the number will say no. Kaduna is in the picture because of numbers. And record shows that 2023 election, I think Atiku actually won. PDP actually won Kaduna. In other words, El-Rufai not to get influence like that in terms of numbers. And you no go surprised if you follow El-Rufai trajectory. El-Rufai is a politician that is regarded among those politicians that are regarded as Abuja politician. He's not a grassroots politician. That means they don't know him for where they come from. He started his political career via appointment. Obasanjo now appointed him as a minister. So he came from that cadre from Abuja. That's why it's called Abuja politician. So it's a shame that even after serving as a minister, serving as a governor for 8 years, he could not penetrate the grassroots structure of Kaduna State. That's what it means. If a sitting governor, 2-time sitting governor, a prominent member of APC could not deliver the state to his candidate, something is wrong. So hence, they can afford to put him in jail. After all, even when he know the jail, we know win out. But now the boy we did there now, I think is more with us. So let him be there. That's why he's still El-Rufai, fall into the category of governors who are loaded, and people put them for jail because of their capacity. But El-Rufai failed that qualification. It's not popular at home, and money no dey inside.
No matter how much EFCC milks from them, they still have plenty. These are people who were sitting on a monthly federal allocation. Don't forget that sometimes when your federal allocation, like some states we mentioned, when they get their federal allocation, they don't touch it. They actually add to it because their state internally generated revenue is higher than what the federal gives to them. So if federal government gives them 3 naira, they can add 4 naira to it and spend 7. So when they leave office, EFCC can't come look for them because they added money to what federal government gave them. But you see that internally generated revenue, that is their sweat, as it's called. It's their money they generated it themselves. They can determine anything they want to do with it. Lagos State internally generated revenue is higher than what federal government gives them.
Obasanjo seized it for forever.
They called this bluff.
Nobody cared.
They called this bluff. That's what we used to pay salaries. Just and then it says.
Now, another governor that fits this description, that you cannot afford to keep trying them or put them in jail due to the fact that they are loaded. The prime example of that is Okowa, the former governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. EFCC, they get case with EFCC. Now, he finished his presidency, he bankrolled Atiku primaries in order for him to be his running mate, which they succeeded, but they lost the election to Tinubu. But money is there in hand. I have to tell you how much states like Delta Rivers, Bayelsa, they generate internally outside what government is giving them. Because don't forget, they have the 13% derivation. The oil companies are, paying their dues as hell. So they have a lot of money coming that federal government cannot really do them anything. So upon the fact that Okowa spend a lot of money so to finance Atiku primary round, and after they lost the election, the current administration declared him wanted. EFCC, they picked him up. But today, as we speak, he's not just a free man; he's a member of APC, and by the special grace of God, they will make him. He will get the position within the campaign committee, either a regional director or whatever. That's what money does. And waiting I lead the try to. So now you see the difference between Okowa and Erufai. Now, the different na money. Now, they have but they have almost the same advantage. Okowa can only use power because of the money when they get from we got from the state. Erufai will use power if he was able to take advantage of the population of Kaduna State, but he failed. That's why he's in jail. And Okowa is out. And now a member of PDP. This is a vice presidential candidate of PDP last election. Oh. Now is a member of APC. Oshomole said it raw. Come to APC and I also forgive it.
Yes, this is the meaty part of it. Say get US or China support. Because of their businesses in your country, they would support whoever. You heard the fallout from the Senate in this thing that said how they helped Buhari to get into office and remove Jonathan. National Association.
This is where all our elite leaders failed. The support of China or America. This is where they have failed. They totally submit their will to get the support. None of them have the guts to call their block off after all the no free votes. Yes, they can influence. They can only influence society that you neglected. If the Nigerian leaders are loyal to the Nigerian people, there is no way an external factor can influence them to vote against their interests. They happen. But because they have willingly submit their power to that foreign interest, because the foreign interests have the ability, the power, the capacity, the finance to influence the citizen, suppress their will, or make them vote against their will. Without the people who are vying for those office spending a penny, they choose that route instead. Because if they call the foreign interest bluff and say no, there's consequences. And they are not ready for that. So instead, they willingly submit. Now, that is where I used the example of Dr. Dameji about I think 2 days ago. That there are two forces that runs the world as we speak. Two forces, the globalist force and the nationalist force. the both of them, the difference is that the globalists are extractors. They don't believe in your sovereignty. They don't believe in investing in your people, and even they want to get the upper hand of the investment. They don't believe it. They believe in taking everything, the raw thing, go somewhere else, process, and give you the leftover. Why the nationalists? We willingly work with you. Yes, they come with upper hand. They bargain with God on the table. What do I mean, God on the table? If I had a bargain with you, we are going discussing the contract, and as we sit down, I carry gun put on top table. Even though I know contract, but I put it on top table. Fear will enter you immediately. So they bargain with gun on the table, even though that's where how the nationalists operate. But they work with you. They are ready to set up a factory in your country so that your citizens will benefit. Yeah, they will be the worker while they get. But so for some extent, you stand a chance of getting 50, 60, 40 at best. At worst, I mean, they get 40%, then they get 60%. But that of global is not lie. Now 15%. If you too happy, if you get too much, they give you 50% of your own resources. That's one major way of differentiating the two forces that run the world. If you look at China, nationalists are in charge. If you look at America today, nationalists are in charge. You look at Russia, nationalists are in charge. You look at Cote d'Ivoire, nationalists are in charge. You look at Saudi Arabia, nationalists are in charge. You look at India, nationalists are in charge. You look at where I won't go again. Which country I won't go again? Which country I won't go again? Very few countries at this point, but it's growing. But when you want to look at the country that globalists are in charge, all the African countries, where, as I said, Ivory Coast, all the ES country, I mean, today, they have nationalists who have taken over their government and they are negotiating at their own interest. But every other African countries, they are run by globalists. Uh, UK, Germany, no, France is nationalist. No, I disagree. All the European countries, except Auburn, are nationalists before now. They lose out. Uh, no, South Korea nationalists, of course. North Korea, Singapore, uh, Taiwan. The rest are all run by globalists. And if you look through all of them, problem there. So they are extractors. And how do you know that they are extractors from the local angle, like Nigerian angle? Just look at their policies. They are all either IMF generated, World Bank generated. These are all globalist entity corporation that runs their policy. That's how you know. All of them, just like the past election, everybody say will come out subsidy. That's not a coincidence. None of them. So when you look at the way the policies is run, Buhari make the last time as I said, the last time we had a nationalist in charge of Nigerian affairs was Murtala Muhammad, and we know what happened to him. Obasanjo came and reversed everything, begin nationalize all our national assets, selling debts to his friends and private entity, not to put them in a better shape, but to run them down for the benefit of the global corporation. Because another angle to know how globalism operates, it is all this, they operate through all these global corporations. The World Bank, the IMF, the United Nations, that's where they operate from. Then you now look at the global companies, the Google, the Facebook. That's how they run, they carry out their affair via those international corporation. And so they did right from time. Nigeria was born out of what? Niger, whatever that corporation is, before eventually migrated Nigeria turned into a corporation. The same thing in West India, the same thing. Pretty much that's how the British people, which started this whole movement, they run their thing. They run it via global corporations. So if you pay attention to what Donald Trump is doing, he's breaking those international organizations that are being run by globalists. So that's why you see the point where I will come and say, oh, the policy that Bola Ahmed Tinubu carried there was great, it's favoring, even though it's not trickled down to the people. They will admit, they'll tell you to your face, even though the other people is suffering from those kind of policy, or for the fact that the giant corporation is benefiting, the policies are great. That's the meaning of that. Yes, the policy, the changes that Bola Tinubu carry out, it stabilized the economy, even though it did not trickle down to the ordinary people. So that's why they go fish send people like Kunjo Iweala to come out, because it's coming from their global headquarters, right? The Femi, the man who run the Africa Development Bank, and the rest of them. When Buhari come, he may try. If you remember, when Buhari come and when Trump said come the first time, that's why they could be able to work together. Trump is running that nationalist. He's presenting the nationalist wing of the fire of the power that runs the world. So if you look, he went ahead and break all the chokeholds of the globalists. That's what Iran is about. And the first casualty of the Iran war was the British uh, uh, insurance empire, the maritime insurance empire. As the first casualty, boom, they take that off. When they invade, when he went after drugs cartel in Mexico, it's all part of their dealings too. So that's how those are the areas you know who globalists or nationalists, who is representing their interests as far as your country is concerned. When they begin suppress local effort, local products ahead of global products. Take note. If you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, when we were talking about the lady who reported tomato paste in Nigeria. And the owner of the tomato paste came angry that this woman don't know what she did do that. I mean, I supported the man because it's a locally made product. Because she was condemning that locally made product in favor of a foreign made tomato paste. So those are the tendencies. That's how you know. Those are the in your face. Now, be that you want to know at the micro level. So when farmers are being eroded by farmer header crash, kidnapping, killing, and all that, what are they doing? They are destroying our local production capacity in favor of what foreign products, which are 100% GMO. Again, multinational corporation. So all the noise that is going on with the terrorism, ISWA, Boko Haram, Father, all the nonsense, well, the primary effect, the primary casualty is the food that we eat. They are forcing us to start consuming what the city people consume, what we consume in America, what we everywhere around the world. Instead of you to the eat tomato that was planted by Benue man, Kaduna man, that the way we is currently being done, if it's still you go to yeah, you go to eat tomato that it was factory generated tomatoes from Taiwan or from even Kenya or from even Ghana, or it doesn't matter where they set up their factory. That's what we'll be eating. Because people know if we go farm again. They can't even live in their village, they are living in the city. So the city will become more crowded and you no get option. Everything will not be rational. You'll be paying for everything. So we don't talk much about that. I know people are focused on no GMO, no GMO, no GMO. But that is too late. No GMO, GMO, what you want to eat? When farmers no dey go farm bring food again, what will you eat? You buy the one where they sell for you. We are like 10, we are like 10, 15 years late. No GMO is the low hungry food, is not the issue. Okay, we no go bring GMO. You no go see food chop. Farming. When Tunaja was talking about ration food, that the Chinese had to went into the move of rationing food for just to achieve that nuclear success, people thought that he was something crazy. If we no want to do and will it, the world will force us there because the way the world is currently going at the moment, now the options that is the only option available to us. Let's say we succeed with the movement of no GMO. Okay, GMO no they all right, they say no more GMO. But you cannot see the organic food to buy. And even if you find it, you cannot afford it. That's exactly how it is in America. Nobody say organic food no day again. You cannot afford it. It's more expensive. It's more expensive to buy organic anything, organic mango, organic banana, than to buy burger, to go chop Burger King. So it's more expensive to eat healthy. That's the where they are pushing the society to gradually. The MBD, that's what you should be watching out with all these fights. People cannot go back to their village again because they cannot. That means they cannot farm. If they cannot farm, there is no more food for you. If food no day, organic food no day, what do? You buy what is available, and what is available if it's GMO food. What choice do you have? You will chop am. That's why this fight is taking this long. For the past 10 years, this all our villages have been eroded with violence, kidnapping, killing. Nobody go fit go farm again. No more organic food. In fact, even the president, Oloremi Tinubu, the wife, she's encouraged you to start gardening in your house already. All these intellectual influencers, these stupid people. That's what they're going to tell you. You can garden in your house. You can garden in your house. What do you want garden in your house? Now see the GMO products where you go see where they go sell for you. So in whichever way, you can't escape it. That's the new world. And I'm saying we cannot escape it because I said all our leaders, they have some surrendered their might, their sovereignty, their willingness in order for them to be appointed to be in charge of the colony.
Association of Nigerian Students,
NANS,
market women, NURT,
NURTW.
Unsettled the organized labor.
Settle or unsettle?
Unsettled.
See, people go say, NAS, which your NAS? NAS no get power again for Nigeria now. There's no longer structure. They are not organized. Any campus you enter, there's no NAS. Yes, you're right. But one thing you're also wrong, because the fact that there is still an association like that still legally exists in books, even they are not physical activities being carried out by the so-called association, and as far as they're in books, that's what they need. Because guess what? If you hear say they get small gbege for University of Lagos campus. Let me come on Lagos, University of Benin campus. That the national the student union association they fight because the vice president no agree for the president, they fight for money or whatever. The easier way to unsettle any kind of organization anyway is to give them money. They will begin fight. Now, that's all the headline you need to see. For the next move, the election are to allocate votes. Even though the obedient voice is loud in Benin, pretty much the headquarters of the obedience, right? One will automatically say, okay, Uniben go overwhelmingly vote for Obi. But if you come here, if you now find out that fights, disagreement politically break out within the student union organization of Uniben, guess what? If votes will now come out from Uniben aftermath of that student union disagreement is now spread around among the candidates instead of overwhelmingly for Obi, they will now give Bola Tinubu 50, Obi 50, or 30, 30, 120. It will be justified. Nobody go really question on that much because guess what? There were no unity. In other words, they could not form a formidable front to overwhelmingly vote for one candidate. They were arguing, they are fighting over money among the leadership. That's how they built the story. So that's why it's important to get ahead of that. Now, labor union.
Now, organized labor is where you then have people who protest. We are not this, we are this, and we are supporting that. We don't like this. All of that. Comment. There's one other. Get.
So, how you unsettle your union? The same thing. Give them money. An election, they always come up the eve of the election in the general election or just after March. I remember when they beat the Labour president for Imo State and beat her up. But few days after the election, we see them for Switzerland in the name of having international organization meeting, a flex. So give them money, they'll begin fights. Now, chapter by chapter. That's the easier way to unsettle the organized labor.
10 of the richest Nigerians on your side. And we know the usual suspects.
Easy. How many you will see them there with be? I think Sheung try make an attempt to ask that question, will be that question that it narrow it to Southeast. How many Southeastern political leaders, influencers, you think are on your side? But I think Obi answered that question fucking brilliantly. I'll give him that. Obi said, he literally said, come, let's not be stupid. How can you be asking that kind of foolish question? I got 80% of the Southeast. What else do you have? What else do I need to tell you for you to understand that the people are with me? They don't need to come out and be screaming. They show it by the votes. I was like, holy shit, this guy is it's fucking brilliant. I give you on that part because that question, no be no be Shehu question, but I no come for Shehu head. That question was advanced. They sent that around. Somebody asked him to ask that question. That's how it works. I, I don't experience that before. But inside that, there are channels too. When I go channel spot in the morning, no, was it? In the morning. And then they send message to the guy where one of the anchor making ask me, and the question was kind of personal question. That's why I figured it out. And I think at the end of the day, I know who sent that, and I confront the person and they smile. But the point is that Shehu was sent to ask that question, and I think Obi figured it out, and Obi gave him a very, very good answer. You don't go expect me to tell you numbers. How many people? This person support me, this person don't support me, so that you go. The person will tell you to ask will know who they will go attack next. Right? So guess what? Obi say, that's the best way to ask the question. I got at least 80% of the vote of the southeastern people. What else do you want? If out of 100 influencers in the southeast, 80 people support me. It was out of 10, 8 of them support me. I mean, do I have to mention their name? The results speak for itself. So, but again, if you come out of the southeast, you understand that pretty much every other billionaires in the country are kind of with the governments, because none of them is complaining as of today. They're all smiling. That means the economy is favoring them. Their business is thriving, even as war day everywhere. How would you do with that?
Infiltrate opposition parties and let them decamp before election. So you have your party. I want to infiltrate the party. I'll send my people to leave my own party and join your own party before the elections. So when the time of elections comes, they will then disrupt the whole thing. They probably will be the ones they put in charge of electioneering campaign. You won't know that the reason they decamp from that side was to make sure that your own campaign doesn't succeed. So when you are planning and saying, no, this is what we'll do this, they inform those people that this is what they plan to do. So by the time...
And later on, you will hear they are going back to their old party.
Exactly. Then somebody did it when he said, he was supposed to be... I think Ashiwaju's campaign guy.
Yes.
Then he left to go and support the guy from Kano. Sometimes when these people say some things, you have to respect it.
And another reason for people to be worried.
Infiltrate opposition parties and let them decamp before them. Buy delegates 1 year before your congresses. 1 year before the congresses, buy them. So I asked, how do you buy congresses? It's okay, so this is what you do. You know who and who will be selected as delegates. You can permutate and say, this man will be delegates in another 4 years. You give 2 of his daughters jobs in a bank. You give this other person's wife a shop in so and so place. This other person wants to go to Hajj, they go to Hajj. This one wants to do something. When the time for election comes and you say, this is the person I'm supporting, because of those people that you have given, they won't mess up. Why some people are trying to raise money to give dollars to some people? You already have bought their loyalty since. Have a hand in appointing all party chairmen, all parties chairmen, all parties. So it's not. So when you hear that 2 people are gunning for an office and you are not in the party, you call the other parties running against him and say, you want to be chairman? We'll fund you. Right. Secure INEC and state rec, blogs and social media, religious leaders, royal fathers, appointment of board of chairmen and DGs. It says, refer to number 2. Get 4 constitutional lawyers on retainership. And so these are all the things that are happening. So there are reasons for everything. That, for instance, all the noise you're hearing now about politics in Akwa Ibom, Edo State, Rivers State, the rest of it. It's funding. Elections are coming. Who will man the purse? I was speaking with Obasanjo one time, and he told me, he said, he listed some things. I said, those are the things that are necessary to find the chat. Should I find the chat?
Find the chat. That would be interesting.
I'm just going to read the chat. He said, so no, for him, it was like he thought I was going to go into politics. So he was very happy when I was talking with him. He said, Ali, I'm happy that you are now.
I don't know what kind of witchcraft you practice, because I was going to ask you
about the relationship with him.
No, not just about him. You said he thought you were going to go into politics. I was going to ask you why.
Why I did not. Okay, so no, I'll get to it. So he says, hey, wait, okay, yeah. He says, Ali, okay, I'm going to read that. Ali, I'm happy you are catching on with politics, but you still have a lot to learn. And I said, like what, sir? He said, like how you get governors and presidents elected. So you need 7 governors to win an election.
When I said there's disconnects between Obi and his followers, there's a vacuum, and it is that vacuum that Kwankwaso is exploiting. I'm not speaking for myself. Listen to their.
Everyone. Mr. Kano did an interview yesterday, right? So yeah, and it's honestly for me, I just feel irritated at the whole thing. You understand? I really am absolutely really irritated. Usually, when people are doing those interviews and all of that, the night excitement, see and what is there, chill, okay, conversation, what are the things?
See, so what she said is exactly what I felt. I wasn't looking forward to the interview. We don't hear him. He's been saying the same thing. It's no longer generating that excitement. Just to hear one, it's no longer a fresh voice. And as I said, it's because there's no middle class. There's no layer. There's a leadership layer that is missing. That's supposed to be doing some kind of thing on his behalf. It's not. I mean, everybody wants to hear the same thing. It's becoming like a broken record out there. So I wasn't excited at all. In fact, I struggled to say make I listen to this morning, but at the same time, I slept off. Slept off. I'm with Aisha on this one.
So this particular one.
Yeah, keep going.
It's the same conversation again.
You see? Again, I think this mitigate Daniel Boala when he confront she will say come. Now not the time for asking the same old question. It's becoming obvious they are working for the opposition. Ask different questions, ask fresh questions. Nigerians are tired of this. Right? So it's surprising that Aisha is saying the same thing to the same Shehu. He asking the same question all over and over again. Fucking crazy. It's boring. It's boring. It's fucking boring.
Okay, my best family. For those of you who are used to my channel,
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking of one or two things from inside of it and then we will sit down and discuss it and all of that. And I'm going through, I'm not seeing any question that is new, it's that is not heard or that we don't know the answer to. But to waste our time because I you still
Well, I want to interview.
one pressure is
And it was supposed to be a special interview for 2 hours. First of all, the timing is wrong. The days, how you could put that kind of interview for Sunday to be pretty much the head on Monday? Because now, what season it is, everybody is up and doing in terms of the political actors. You have to be saying something special, something that has not been heard before, bringing something new, nuance into the conversation for your interviews to dominate the airwave for more than 24 hours. Competition don't reach another level. So to say that they spend 2 hours regurgitating the same whole shit, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, it's demoralizing. It made it sound like they do it, no be their follower. I mean, that's not now. For her to now she will still be the only remaining that leadership cadet that said is missing. For her to be feeling exhausted and frustrated like this, I mean, I'm, uh, I'm on point.
the people to Peter Obi for him to be the one, to come out and talk to the people and say what do you want to do with insecurity? What do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with that? The other candidates, nothing is being said about it. They're not
Even though Obi, yes, I mean, his passion, his command of the media cannot be questioned. The media cannot love him. His followers are loud. But Kwankwaso interview generated more serious conversation than what Obi is generating. Kwankwaso interview generates intense conversation, curiosity. People were, in fact, even his own personality, people begin to see him from a different angle. The BJ was kind of excited about it. I mean, every aspect of that interview kept the public engaged. Days after that interview, his personality was reinvented. Is the idea, the conversation, the controversy, everything that he put through is still even getting more traction that the obedient interview, even though the power of the media and the obedient is behind Obi, and still, I mean, I'm not impressed. So do Aisha.
they're not coming out to the interview. So looking at someone like Mr. Bola Ahmed, the former governor of Lagos State, who did the election and got himself sworn. He's not in front of the camera, John. He's going about freely doing his own business. And yet, the one person who cares, who has been out there, who is speaking to people, is the one that more and more is.
Because you guys don't have a plan. If to say una get plan, you guys would have been focused on the plan. I'm not going to worry about always pandering to the media's sentiments, repeating the same thing and over and over and over again, thinking it's going to work. No, y'all don't have a plan. If una get plan, I ask you now this question: what you guys are doing long before now? Because if you guys have a concrete plan, let's say you guys have 20,000 volunteers that are on ground working, una no go get time. You guys will be busy trying to to process the feedbacks, the data that you guys are getting from the volunteers from the field. Everybody will be focused, will be busy. I shall be busy running, trying to coordinate the women's movement is set on motion around the Nigerian university campuses, discussing OB policy regarding women and the girl child policy that he has for Nigeria. She go there busy because she will be getting feedback from University of Maiduguri campus, getting from the Enugu State University campus. So Ekoma, everybody will be busy. So do if they have a youth movement going around Nigerian schools at the same time, they will market women. If they have plan, they have numbers to say, okay, this our 6 million. We want to make sure we double it, or we'll make sure we repeat it. Like there is no physical project going on for them, so they lack concentration, they lack focus. That's why when anything wey APC do, they will go do. And APC start city boy, they go start village boys. By the time APC go start Ashawo movement of APC, then we go start holy movement of like. And I point this out even last election. You don't have to be on a defensive side. You guys are proving that you guys are no longer 4 people tweeting in the room. You guys are 6 million strong. What is the effect of that 6 million? Now only defend una go defend una sef. Una go dey wait make Bola Tinubu throw shot, make Buhala insult una, make Reno insult una, make Bola Tinubu make mistake before. No, they go dey feed una all those kind unworthy, unnecessary distraction to keep una engaged, so that una no go even get time take plan una own. Once in a while, make una take shots. When Obi take shots at the presidency that he should resign, and immediately Obi deploy his media boys around. I love that. That stay on the media for a minute. The APC had to be finding a way to defend why Tinubu should not resign, which is crazy to me. But that was a shot. Obviously, every time now with the wait, when they fire on and they fine. No. And again, it's all stem from the fact that you guys don't have any plan, don't have anything working for you guys to focus on. That's why you guys, pay attention to every dog that barks. So I understand the frustration of Aisha regarding the interview. At this point, the waste of a goddamn resources, everybody. It's ridiculous. Very, very ridiculous. Well, Bola Tinubu don't spend uh 3 years for public. And I know if you see anything to attack am.
Questions are different from what we've heard all this while. Can we have something that is it's not about okay, let me have it. Okay, so there's a way that questions are answered, that they're trying
But in defense of Shehu, una not give am anything to be curious about or ask about. Now don't give her anything to anything different. Every question they ask centered around the activities of Obi and obedience. And these are the same thing you people have been doing year in, year out. So how do you expect Sheung to be curious enough to ask a different question? When at the same thing when they do, you guys should give him something to talk about. Even the plagiarism one I do one the copy city board, they do village board. The village board is nowhere to be found. There's no activities going on there. They are dormant. If Shehu here say a serious debate took place between the obedient angles of Enugu, University of Enugu, with the Concosia wing of Kano State University campus debate, and if serious issues were tabled before the nation and rigorous debate going to it, Shehu will find way to reason to find a question out of that. But you guys are not giving me anything. So it is boring. I totally agree with Fashola when Fashola came out to say the opposition don't have anything, a side thing going on for them. They are not giving the people something to look forward to. They waited 3 years doing nothing just to insult the governor. They just insult the president. Just nothing, nothing. Or just for them to come to elect campaign period, they go back to their repeating the same thing they used the last time. He's a criminal. He's a drug dealer. He's so who give a shit? What dealers are making deal with these motherfuckers? Everything he's doing is being legally documented across the fucking globe. Nobody cares. You should think outside the box. And it's also speak to what I've been talking about. They are all globalist candidates. They don't get anything fresh, anything new. At a time where the world is going through reconstruction. Literally, everybody is taking this opportunity to protect his or her sovereignty or go for his or her sovereignty as much as it can. But here we are, not even playing a role, not to even contribute to the ongoing conversation of AI as a part of humanity. We are not contributing to the conversation of robot that is coming to enter our workspace. We are not contributing to the conversation of the bioengineering. Like, we are not contributing any fraction to the pressing issue that is contrary being fought for all over the world. And we are at a season where all eyes on us, where every every finger, every microphone is pointed at us, every curiosity is aiming at Nigeria because it's an election period. But look at the conversation we are having. We are not contributing to the world conversation. Nothing. That's because all the leaders belong to one school of thought. That's why you cannot have a robust conversation. There's no opposite, and everybody are the same. They all think outside the box. They all want to help the globalists to extract not just our resources, even our own mental well-being. So, in defense of Sheung, give him something fresh to talk about.
Let's see if you can answer this. Hey, sure you said it the other day and whatever. And then all of a sudden, the very thing that they are picking, I saw Bayo Nanuga and stuff, a lot of APC talks, talking about the fact that, he said that all his commissioners are Muslims, or they were Muslims when he was governor of Anambra State. Of course, how are all his commissioners going to be Muslim in a state that is maybe 90 something percent Christians? He was referring to his police commissioner. And this is, he has talked about this a lot of time, especially when this repeated.
Are you surprised that the only thing the opposition could pick from the interview is something that will help their cause towards the election, which is what? Tribalism. Like, that's what I'm saying. You guys did not give them anything fresh to talk about. Every opportunity you now get, they empower the oppositions to fire on. The best thing Tinubu will wish for is the conversation to stick around tribalism along the two divide, along Muslim and Christian, along Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. That is the best thing that will ever happen to the government in power. So every opportunity we will not give them, they will ride on them. So don't be surprised. The only thing I'm not I could pick out of the whole interview is the fact that some of his big members are not Hausa, some are not Muslim. I mean, it's not. It's right there. It's no brainer. I would do the same shit too.
Lies keep coming up that he throws away northerners from Anambra State and stuff like that. And just say that look, also apart from the first few months before he went to go and get his commissioner of police, that all his commissioner of police were from the north. that how is he going to be driving away? Not with them there, doing that focus. And he has consistently said it's not from his place. Or that people were giving ID cards and all of that. But at the end of the day, this interviews just go on. And it's to relieve and talk about the same old thing. The nation is breaking away. The nation is being destroyed in front of us. Things are so bad. These are things we should be focused on. Hey, Nigerians, I don't think there's anything about Peter Obi that you need to know that you know already. There are so many videos out there. There are so many of those. Can we focus on the main issue of ensuring that we get this person into office and then we hold him accountable? We repeatedly do the same thing, and that's the behavior of people that are abusive relationships. Whenever you see anything,
You guys have not done anything different. You guys are doing the same thing. So what do you expect the medias to do? More than they think for now, they can't. And as I said, it's all the same because they all belong to the same school of thought. Yeah, you know the people where they work for.
it's going to take you out of the abusive relationship that you're in. You do everything to ensure that you stay back on. I was having a conversation with someone, I think that was a good thing. I met in Nigeria, they were very excited to see me. I was going talking. And then he was like, oh, that he just feels like there was the way he used it, that Peter Obi might not be as genuine as it makes her to be something of that, of that nature. And I'm like, what is all that? The issue is that as we are right now, with the presidential candidates that we have, who is the best amongst them? Whether it's Jerry,
Yeah, no, nobody is doing anything different. So you can't ask who is the best.
If all of these things are it's not genuine, what does it take? Take him out again. The reason why Nigerians have not been able to be the ones to put someone in and bring someone because we do not, we don't take responsibility, and then when we see something, we begin to make let it not be, we diligently auto-post something, everything just
See, now my problem. Now my problem with these people be that it's very easy to look for a scapegoat to give an excuse. Don't really blame the people. Now the people go generate talking points for now. That's why I said the problem of Nigerian leadership is not those who are in charge of the governance, it's those who wants to be in charge. Those who wants to be in charge are the problem. You are blaming the ordinary Nigerian we wake up the final go roast corn fry akara chop. To be thinking, to doing your technical and intellectual work for you. Where are your think tanks?
You already think Tinubu is as bad can be. There are no two ways about it. And then why are you dilly over that the option that you have? And you see, I don't let it not be that. Let it not be what. The focus of all of us right now should be how do we not only ensure that Mr. Peter gets into office, but also ensure
No,
that
the focus of Nigeria is how they will take job. I lie. You see, Nigeria, see, now my problem with that. You cannot just tell Nigeria what to focus on when you are not ready to focus on that thing with them. Una say they everywhere. You guys are not focused, don't have any plans, and you expect every Nigerian to be focused on that. No, and every Nigeria is focused on his stomach. How do I eat the next meal? That's the number one priority of every Nigerian. And you are not in position to tell them to prioritize something else unless you provide an alternative.
Self-sabotaging. And then the many of the years we sit down and begin like, oh, we are the ones who are suffering the most. Nigerians love their pity parties and they want to continue to talk about the sufferings in Nigeria so that they will be able to say that, they've gone through so, but please stop it.
Yeah.
The people that are enjoying in other parts of the world,
So this English.
The only thing that they do is to ensure that they get good people into that.
I talked on before. They don't get anything that to the harass and insult innocent people, telling them Nigerians what to do. If Nigeria are not agree vote for their candidate, Nigeria are responsible. They are their problem. When the after election finish, you guys turn the back on Nigerians. Say they are stupid. And them cause am. And them don't know what they want. You abandon them for 3 years. Now they come back again, repeat the same thing, and you want the same different results. If you want Nigeria to think different, give them something different to think about. Don't expect them to. Expectation, you don't you even God said no, they expect us to be all right. Everybody fuck up. For on behalf of God, in the presence of God. No matter how you fear God, you will see fuck up, not talk up. Who the fuck is you?
So sit down and do right now. Not all of these people going ahead, going back and forth. Like I said earlier, for me, honestly, the whole interview and whatever, it's just been a bit of reputation, searching over and over again, you know. And it's just right now at this point, I'm like, please, if you people, let's get to work if you want to get to work. If you don't want to get to work, we want the suffering to continue. No, Allah, let's sit down, calm down, fold our hands and enjoy the suffering. One thing that I know
You
about
see there?
Nigeria is that Nigeria has the capacity to deal with everybody. Nigeria does not care. It will deal with you.
My problem with all this
You go hear
influencer,
our
be that
because nobody will take you. Nothing more, nothing else.
they
He has
easily give up.
capacity to deal with every one of us. So if we sit down and think that this is a joke, election here is a
They don't
joke.
do anything, or they don't give up. Begin insult
If the
Nigerians.
joke continue to happen, at the end of the day, people will hear out for their one way or the other,
That's what I said.
and that's it. So for me, honestly, looking at all of those interviews, trying to say, oh, start talking about, I beg, I'm really so irritated about that whole thing that it's really pissing me off right now. You don't even understand because I think a lot of our people somehow do not understand where we are.
Of course they don't. What do you mean?
Refresh on your own.
They don't. And they don't. Even you, where they make us every day, you have no clue. At least when you go into the arena, they don't teach you simple lesson. Because if you do, you should learn from your principle. You should learn from what happened to Patotomi. Nigerians don't understand what is going on. It's not an insult, it's a fact. It is our responsibility that those who understand to teach them, not be to they insult them or use them against them, or that they expect a different result. This also boiled down to the example Dr. Damiji was giving comparing Nigeria and India, saying Nigeria and Indian kids could not stand the way they were treated during one of their exam, and they took to streets, they protested. That is what Nigerian kids cannot do. I said that's not fair. That's not how I should say it. You can only expect what you give, what you have taught the kids to. You can only expect it back. Those kids are children of warriors, and from the standpoint of fighting for freedom. Let's see. Back, yeah. Those Indian children, they are children of revolutionaries. They grew up hearing about the spectacular performance, bravery, act of heroism their grandparents put in to get them free from the hands of the colonizers. They fought for it. So it's in their DNA that the first response to any disagreement are to come together and agitate. Is naturally embedded in them. Whereas when we look back to what our forefather did, the only thing we could understand or learn from it is that we saw
few of the intellectual parents went to the colonizer and negotiated our freedom from them. So that also ingrained in our DNA. The first thing that will come to an average Nigeria is to look up to the leaders first before he or she acts. And in the Nigeria of today, our leaders are not necessarily people who are in position. Our leaders are educated people. Oh, we are waiting for the third people to come and use grammar to tell us properly how to approach this thing. That's what happened to the obedience in 2023 elections. When they were convinced the election was rigged against them, they were waiting for their principal to give direction. But that's not how Kenyans or the Indians will approach it. The Indians will go after what they see clearly as disenfranchisement to them, to their right. So we are groomed to look up to educated people to set the pace. And that's why I concluded that the educated class have failed in that duty. So Aisha Yusuf, if you think Nigerians should think different, should act different, should discuss something different, show them, teach them, give them something fresh. If you want Nigerian journalists to stop regurgitating their the same question, give them a different approach, something different to talk about, to argue about. Maybe say we will complain or the insults because we use we use the last 3 years to insult the president. The next 6 months now to insult the Nigerian people. That's what we educated class are known for, are good for, are paid to do. Spend the last 3 years insult the president, the government, and the last 6 months to the next election insulting the ordinary Nigerians, trying to coerce them, trying to force them to hear your voice, to go your route. In the name of say we know how to speak English, in the name of say because we understand the system, ain't gonna work. Said it. The same phone where Elon Musk they use, the richest man in the world. The same phone where Professor Noam Chomsky they use, one of the most intellectual, the most quoted human being alive today, they use. 9 people from my village they use. 9 people for Ndobi they use. 9 people for Onisha. 9 people everywhere they use. In other words, the that where the intellectual get upper hand, which stands as a middle class between the rich and the educated ones and the poor. Because now waiting them tell us, now waiting they interpret to us, now waiting they break down to us, now waiting they we do now we do because we don't have direct access to that information. Even when we have direct access to that information, we don't understand it because it is put in a language that you will have to be privileged or paid to have access to understand, which is grammar. But that has been broken. And that's where you see say then the verse, they begin categorize people. Some people now olodo uprising. Some people now illiterate. Guess what? All these times are beginning to spread up because the middle class, the intellectual class, have lost that power. The power we then get now say they are in control of what we hear. Now with the hear, with the understand and direct, the people from my village we know hear English. All they need to do is to ask AI waiting that man talk. It the AI will break it down to them in their local language that they will say, oh Allah, we don't hear this thing before. This man talked this in 1983. Just like on Dr. Damage's show, Jago was telling was responding to KG when KG told that this election will be the last for Nigeria. If they rig this election, Nigeria is finished. Jago reminded us, say, come. This one thing you are saying was said 2023. But most importantly, it was said in 1983. Now, Jago lives in the Western country. He's privileged, he's educated, you understand the system. But guess what? I will not be surprised if somebody from my village will also have the same understanding that Jago had now. Not because he's all of a sudden he don't get the same education like Jago, exposed like Jago. No, but because there's what they call self-learn. All they need to do is say, come. This was AI. What you get it also say that Nigeria this will be the end of Nigeria if the 2027 election will rig. I go say, oh yes, those are the sentiments of some people on the social media and the eco media space. The same thing happened in 2023. The same thing happened. They go break them down for the language. They go say, hey, I leave that man. Just as Jago call his block off, a village man will also have the same chances. Then leave those people. You know whether they screen. So they can't tell us last year say they could do this, they could do this. When they lose, they don't see us again. They will come begin here for TVC, then they insult us. People can say all Nigerians should die because it is their responsibility.